I always find it so funny that the decision that would change our life would be made in a Walmart against my will.
My name is Abe. This is Eva, my wife. And we're going to share a bit about our marriage, what we went through. My paper. I have notes. Thank God. So a bit ago, Tokayo texted me and asked if we would be willing to do a testimony. And I instantly said no. It didn't feel good to say no, but I was like, we can't do that. It just seemed like we hadn't gotten there yet, to that point where we had a happy ending, or a happy enough ending to share. And then a couple months later, I think it was a couple months, he texted again. So if he ever texts you about a testimony, just know he's not going to stop. And then I knew in my heart maybe this was something that we needed to do. We've been Christians for a while now, and we are called to do that. So we decided we would. And right now, I wish we would have said no. But we're here. So this morning I was going to we have a little store, a printing store. I was getting my paper printed for my words, and there was this voice in my head that kept saying, "You're not good enough for this." Oh, I said, "Go to hell." One thing I don't want to do this morning, I don't want to cry. Once this engine starts, you're going to have to drag me off. So here it goes. Eva and I got married young. We've been married for just over 12 years now. We both weren't saved when we got married, so we had quite the experience finding Jesus together, which was pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool if you can. It's the most important thing of your life, and if you can do that with your partner, your lifelong partner, I think it's pretty cool. So here it goes. I remember this is a regular day. We went to Walmart just trying to waste some time. We didn't have a lot of friends, so we would do that. Go to Walmart and just find a movie or something. So we went to the movie section, and there was a show on the shelf. It was called The Bible, and it instantly caught my attention. I'm a huge fan of medieval time movies with swords, and my great-grandma used to tell me stories about the Bible. Like, I knew all the stories about the Bible, but they were just stories to me. Back then we didn't have a TV, so stories were all we had. So I grabbed it. I had to get it. It's something in my heart just told me I had to get it. And I grabbed it, and Eva said, "We are not supposed to watch stuff like that." And I grew up hearing that at home. I'm like, "You too? Come on." But I got it anyway. I ignored her. And we went home and we started watching the show, and I loved it. I fell in love with it. And just watching all the stories again just brought back a lot of memories from my great-grandma. But I realized what we had done so far, we thought we were Christians, I think, and it didn't look like that. Our story was nothing like that. It didn't look anything like the Jesus from the TV show. So we started reading, started studying, and it didn't take long for us to give in and give our lives to Jesus. It was a really cool thing that we could do together. But usually you think when you take this step in your life, things are going to get easy. But it got really hard, really, really hard. We lost friends. We got them back later, but things got really, really lonely for a while. And family was kind of rejecting us. So things weren't looking very pretty. But we knew we were doing the right thing. It was really, really hard. And at that moment, we started feeling God's love, and we knew God was doing something special in us, and he was working in our hearts. And we were starting to realize that there were a lot of things that we had to let go. A lot of bad habits that were not healthy. So we started working together, me and Eva, trying to learn how to communicate our problems to each other. There was problems that were hurting, that I was hurting Eva. And it was really hard for me to tell her how messed up I was inside. And we struggled with that for a bit. And me and Eva were always really good together. Like, even though we were going through really hard times and we hurt each other, there was a very, very strong love that we had for each other, and still, obviously. We were definitely, I don't know if people are meant to be together. I don't know if I believe in that. I believe in finding a person and choosing that person is who you want to be with, right? And that's a choice you have to make. And for me, it was definitely the right choice. So our love grew stronger through all this, and we finally decided to really get to know each other. And I am not a good communicator. I'm still not a good communicator. I try my best. We work hard. And I think it's going to be something that we're always going to... I think for men, I don't know if I speak for all men, you can say what you want to say about men, but I think we have a hard time opening up, because sometimes we feel like our problems are way too big to share, even amongst other men. We look at ourselves and we say that there's no way there's another dude who does the things you do, who is as messed up. But even though now things are getting easier and we are trying to communicate. I don't know anything about marriage. Well, I know a bit now. Been married for over 12 years. But when we got married, I didn't know anything about marriage. I grew up without a dad, so that kind of messed me up a little bit. I didn't have all the marriages around me. They were not good examples. I saw how they were always treating each other like enemies. Like, I didn't understand how two people that were supposed to love each other would treat each other like enemies. Like, it didn't make sense to me. So I knew that that's something I would not do. Me and Eva, I think we might have sat down and talked about it in the beginning of our marriage, that we would never talk bad about each other to anybody. Even though I didn't know anything about marriage, but that's one thing I did not want to do. Talk about my better half or we are supposed to be one. Why would I say something bad about my lover? Technically, I'm saying that about myself. So I think that was a really good thing that we started in the beginning. And I think I want to share a lot of things, but I don't know what. Our journey here to Mexico, we were quite broken when we left Canada. Not in our marriage, just dealing with all the problems that were happening. But when we came here, things changed for us. I spent a lot more time at home. Spent a lot of time with my kids. It was really hard in the beginning trying to take that position after you've never really spent time with your kids and trying to find a church. And we really didn't expect to like this church, to be honest with you guys. And we fell in love so fast. I thought I wasn't going to like the music because it was German, but I love it. And I'm so grateful for this place. It feels like a home. And I'm so excited to keep growing here. And that's it. I'm going to hand it off to you now. You got it.
I always find it so funny that the decision that would change our life would be made in a Walmart against my will. I wish I could say that we went home that evening and played the DVD and gave our life to Jesus, but that's not what happened. We did start watching it, but I sat there with a stubborn attitude. I wasn't supposed to like the show. But it didn't take very long, and I started to enjoy it. And like Abe said, we soon started to have questions. We started to bring out our Bibles as we watched and would often read the story beforehand. We would watch every night before bed, and things were getting real for me very fast. I knew that if we continued on this path we were on, that we would need to make some lifestyle changes. And that scared me a lot. I had people in my life. Oh dear. I had people in my life whose approval meant a lot to me, and I didn't want to hurt these people. But I knew I needed to make a decision, and in that time, I chose the approval of people over God and over Abe. I could see how much I hurt Abe by doing that, and it made me feel sick. But I would justify myself to him. Surely he would understand. I had so much to lose. I was so afraid of what might happen. I lived in that fear for a long time. I have a problem where I'm a people pleaser. But in that moment, Abe wasn't the people that I was trying to please. Neither was God, I guess. It took a long time for me to get out of that, but a verse that really helped me let go of the fear was Isaiah 41:10. So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. And God did help me. I didn't stay in that fear. Abe and I gave our life to Jesus, and for a moment it did feel like it was us against the world. But it didn't matter. We had Jesus walking with us, and that's all that mattered. Having a godly marriage was very important to us. We wanted to honor God with our marriage, and that meant we needed to examine our life a bit. I always thought we were pretty decent people, but after getting to know God and seeing what his character was, it wasn't hard to see that we looked very little like Jesus. I saw it in the way we talked to each other, and especially how I talked to Abe. I had all these expectations of him, but I didn't communicate them with Abe. I would expect him to do all these things without any communication, and then get upset when he hadn't done it. I had to let go of the idea that Abe can read my mind. As simple as my mind is, he should be able to read it, but det kan ich. It was the littlest things, it could be the littlest things that I could expect of him, but it didn't make any sense for me to expect it of him if I didn't communicate it with him. I think if someone were to ask me what the top 2 things were that healed our marriage, I would say, number 1, communication. Learning how to communicate was and is to this day one of the biggest reasons our marriage is where it is. It's not always easy. Sometimes it hurts a lot, but it's always worth it. And number 2 would be choosing your spouse. Your spouse deserves to feel like your first choice. When you get married, you two are the ones that become a family. Your parents have their own life, so do your siblings, your friends have their own families. Your spouse is the one and only person that will be with you through it all. Don't let too much time go by without telling them they are your first choice. I was going to read Marriage has the power to set the course of your life as a whole. If your marriage is strong, even if all circumstances in your life around you are filled with trouble and weakness, it won't matter. You will be able to move out into the world in strength.
That's why I didn't go after her. We're going to end it with a prayer. Thank you, Jesus, for what you've done in our lives. Thank you for this space. Thank you for friends and family. Thank you for putting it on our hearts to do things that we are not comfortable with, but we do them for you. We do them for others. Thank you for the opportunity to love people, to try to be an example. You are always the center point. You are always our guide. I pray that you would touch each and everybody in here, touch their hearts, show us you're real. Give us your peace, Jesus, in your name. Amen.
Onse heeft een grote vrede dat die van der gewählt hast, maar ons te horchen. Onze Welt leeft van der Undienstnis en Angst en Armut. Wenn du einen Freund hast oder irgendwem weißt, wem diese Botschaft wird Maut merken, dann wird wir gleich noch die Wurst diese Botschaft mit dem mitteilen. Und wenn du von dieser je in Best für Läwens Kjoakj ist oder du noch mal hast gerechnet von unterwegs zu besiegen, wie würden die Seier anladen, kann man es besiegen, also deren sind up für alle Menschen. Wir kommen hier alle sonntagsmorgens Topklok 39 zum Kaffee trinken, zum Spazieren und Gemeinschaft haben. Nur dort dann haben wir gute, lebende Leute nach einer Botschaft, was du praktisch ist, was du dein Leben sehen und in die Maut geben. Dann werden wir die aber sehr anladen, Porte sind von unseren Lebensgruppen. Das sind kleine Gruppen, wo wir durch den Weg taub kommen. Hier merken wir das persönlich. Hier kommen wir taub zum Beten, zum Spazieren, zum Lachen und gute Gemeinschaft haben. Wenn die Freunde fehlen und die wo schlecht in Porte sind von so einer Gruppe, dann finden uns nicht mehr, was hier angegeben ist, oder schreiben uns an WhatsApp, oder besuchen uns an unserer Webpage, läwenskjoakj.com. Uns hier erscheint, dass wir können Port sein von den guten Plänen, was Gott für dein Leben hat. Wenn die wo gleich in alle Weg unsere Botschaften anzuhören, wenn ihr on YouTube noch kommt, dann würden wir gleich noch die wo subscribe, auf den Klinger drücken, so dort, was die dort anwollen.